I went to my first rock concert when I was 13 years old, seeing Jimi Hendrix, and just kind of wanted to emulate the rock stars and all that. Started getting high at 14, became a heavy drug user, and at the age of 16, had a radical conversion experience. So as a Jewish person, came to faith in Jesus. So my trajectory is literally from LSD to PhD.
Welcome to the 10-Minute Mogul podcast. I'm Adam Zucker alongside my incredible wife.
I'm Randy Zucker, and we're here to revolutionize your real estate investing journey.
We built our success from the ground up through determination, courage, massive action. We created a portfolio of motels, multifamily properties, and renovate over 100 homes.
We understand the challenges other investors face and know firsthand how tough it can be to pivot in the real estate game and reach that next level. That's why we developed a powerful method to help you prioritize your time, maximize your life, and build legacy wealth.
Let's spend 10 minutes together to change your life.
Welcome to the 10-Minute Mogul podcast. I'm your host, Randy Zucker, joined by my incredible husband,
Adam Zucker.
And today on the podcast, we have Dr. Michael Brown. He's an author and international speaker on all things spirituality, culture. He's debated with spiritual leaders all across the world. And he's also widely known for working and teaching with dozens of ministry schools. Michael, I want to kick it off to you as well, though, to introduce yourself to our audience today, because you are just a huge mogul in the spiritual and religious realm. So I would like you to also introduce yourself to the crowd.
Sure thing. I was born in New York City in 1955 and got caught up in the whole counterculture revolution of the 60s, started playing drums as a kid. Beatles came to America when I was 9 years old. I went to my first rock concert when I was 13 years old, seeing Jimi Hendrix, and just kind of wanted to emulate the rock stars and all that. Started getting high at 14, became a heavy drug user, and at the age of 16, had a radical conversion experience. So as a Jewish person, came to faith in Jesus. So my trajectory is literally from LSD to PhD. The rabbis began to challenge me. You don't even know what you're talking about. So that led to me studying Hebrew so we could interact more intelligently, and then ended up getting a doctorate in Semitic languages from New York University. And I've had the joy of speaking around the world, traveled outside the US, more than 200 different trips. And we've got workers that have graduated from our schools all over the world, just doing amazing, amazing stuff. And it's been my joy to speak and write. I've got a daily live radio show, The Line of Fire, 1 hour live call-in show, and then a 30-minute show we also do every day. So 10 shows a week we do. I get to write on a wide range of subjects, and as you said, teach in a lot of different settings. So it's been an amazing journey. I'm 69 now. I feel like I'm getting younger every year, and I can't wait to see what the years ahead have to hold.
Yeah, I mean, you've had an incredible journey. I mean, you published over 3,000 papers. You've written over 50 books. I mean, can you just go into discussing some of that? Like, what are the books that you published most recently?
Sure. So the most recent one, actually the newest one's about to come out, is called Hearts of Compassion, Backbones of Steel. It's helping Christians to have conviction about moral and cultural issues while really having love for their neighbor. So in the midst of our differences, how to really love our neighbor, set a positive example, but as people of conviction. So Hearts of Compassion, Backbones of Steel. The book before that was called Turn the Tide, and it's how to bring about positive cultural change through spiritual principles. So I'm often writing about that. I've written many books about the Jewishness of Jesus, or having friendly interaction with my rabbinic friends about things like that. I've written commentaries on books in the Bible, and in my op-eds, I normally write 4 or 5 new editorials a week just on what's happening in the world around us. But for people of faith, especially Bible believers, helping them orient it, what do we do in the crazy world of politics? How do we keep our spiritual bearings without just getting totally partisan and attacking each other? So I'm tackling controversies all the time. So I'm kind of loved and hated from different sides, but doing my best to be practical. Every day I'm introduced on the radio as your voice for moral sanity and spiritual clarity. And when it comes to the writing process, it's interesting. As a new believer, So just 16, 17 years old, one day I wrote a couple of paragraphs about faith. I felt like I got this amazing insight. I was able to articulate it. And I remember someone saying to me, Mike, maybe you're called to write. And I thought, "Yeah, maybe, but years went by and I didn't have an outlet. I began preaching 53 years ago when I was 18 years old. My first sermon was August 21st of 1973, and the words just poured out of me. But when it came to write, it would like, I hit a wall. It would only want to go so far. And that produced some level of frustration. It was only 17, 18 years later in 1989 that suddenly the flood that it would come out when I preached came out when I wrote. And I was able to discover that well, and it's just burst ever since. So in my writing experience, there are things I write with this tremendous feeling of inspiration, and the words just pour out of me. There are other things that I write, like a commentary, an academic work, a Hebrew word study. That's like chipping away at a mountain, working at it every day, whether I feel it or not. But those are constant outlets, and that's something I do all the time. If I'm sitting waiting to get on my plane at the airport, I'm writing. I'm writing on the plane. I'm writing at the hotel. I'm writing at home. It's a lifestyle. It's kind of like breathing to me.
One of my favorite books you wrote was about the weight loss and being healthy and eating habits. So it was incredible. The last time we got together, you actually made me do a pull-up challenge with you, and I mean, basically we're both sweating, and you're in great shape. I'm in great shape, and
but he beat you.
Yeah, you did. You did. I think you outbeat me.
Yeah, well, it was 10 years ago that God graciously intervened in my life, and God helped me to get free. When I say God helped me, I'm not being facetious. I was a lifetime chocoholic. I got instantly set free in 1971, December 17, 71, instantly set free from shooting heroin, using LSD, instantly. No withdrawal, but free overnight. When it came to giving up bad foods, I was a pizzaholic. It just, an unhealthy eater. I used to have Oreos for breakfast as a boy. So when it came time to giving that up, I went through 3 miserable days of withdrawal. It was much harder to give up chocolate than to give up the needle. And finally, after 3 days, I got free. Then I had to renew my mind. This is an interesting thing. We eat for different reasons. Obviously, we need to eat. Some people eat out of fear, or it's comfort food, or whatever. Some people are just gluttons. For me, I ate. Food was my reward. I'm traveling all the time. Surely I can eat when I want at the airport. I just finished speaking all day and night. Surely I can eat when I want at the hotel. Food became the built-in reward for life. So I had to renew my mind so that food became the fuel for a healthy life, and the healthy life became the reward. So I went in less than 8 months from 275 pounds to 175 pounds. Less than 8 months, everything radically changed, not by dieting, but by getting rid of all the bad foods and eating only good foods. And that's what I've done with God's help, without exception, for 10 years now. And that's why I feel like I'm getting younger every year. I would not be able to keep the pace I keep, teaching annually now at 6 different schools, doing 2 radio shows a day, and then constant traveling, speaking, writing. I would not be able to do that. I probably wouldn't even be alive today with my old lifestyle.
See, that's a great tip. So you got to start with your health, and then you can work on your wealth, right? So
yeah. As one doctor said, you'll never fulfill your life goals if you're chronically sick or dead. Absolutely.
So, that other afternoon that we had, it was interesting. I remember you saying that, and this was about a year and a half ago when we were at your home. You're like you travel all over the world. You're working on the Jerusalem Bible Institute. And I remember you said to us, though, Gaza is going to be the next world war. I don't know if you remember saying this. Remember that at lunch with us? That Israel is going to, and Palestine, that's the area where there'll be the next world war. And that was a year and a half ago. So like, what are your thoughts about what's going on right now in the world? We can't have you on without talking, about what's going on right now.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a tragically volatile situation. Obviously, the events of October 7th, just overwhelming, shocking for our people, for Israel, and something that we never thought would happen because of Israel's vaunted security and all of that. And your massive security failures. My last time in Israel, I went to the Nova Music Festival site. It's just devastating to see. Went to another car lot where they just have all the burned cars and ridden with bullets and things, just absolutely horrific. So it's overwhelming to see that at the same time, the moment that this happened, I had to speak the next morning. I changed my message and I just spoke with many tears to a church about trying to understand Israel's pain. I said, but also pray for the Palestinians, because Israel must retaliate, must try to take out Hamas. Hamas will be thoroughly embedded in the midst of the civilians. And in the end, more Palestinians will die than Israelis. So everyone's going to suffer. And the tragic thing is that if you grow up in Gaza, you grow up with state TV, you grow up in a radical Islamic environment, you grow up heavily indoctrinated, and now Israel's bombing you. Israel is the enemy. Israel is the evil one. Death to the Jews. You grew up with that, so you're victims of your own society. And now with the atrocities against Israel, Israel is getting further and further to the right, and you have some right-wing radicals in the Netanyahu government that are just not good. So the goal, the kind of the utopian goal, would be for a more moderate leadership over Gaza and maybe some international coalition to tell the people, hey, you can live side by side in peace with the Israelis and you can prosper and you can have a better life for your kids. Are you willing to give up your radical fundamentalism for that? Ideally, then Israel would say, okay, great, we can be neighbors. But that's kind of a utopian dream. Right now, in the midst of it, I don't know that there's an easy solution. The hope is, and what we pray, is that it doesn't evolve into a world war. Right now, with Israel taking out Ismail Haniyeh, the Hamas political leader in Tehran, so the Iranians had to respond, egg on their face, but they haven't. Mm-hmm. And one reason they haven't is because they don't want things to escalate either. So that's the hope, that things... No one wants a full-blown war that could lead to a nuclear war. No one wants that. So hopefully cooler heads will prevail. But this is why Christians around the world, Jews around the world are praying for peace, because it's an incredibly volatile situation.
If you enjoyed this episode, stay tuned for part 2 coming out in a few days.